Good afternoon and welcome to this week's webinar with Deepblocks. I appreciate you joining us. And this week we're going to be learning about scanning for land in Los Angeles. We're just going to give a few more minutes to let some more people jump on and join us. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Michael Cavone. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Deepblocks. And again, I do appreciate you taking the time to be a part of this webinar. If you have any time you have any questions or want to discuss specific topics, please feel free to use the chat and send me your questions. You can always email me as well at michael@deepblocks.com. If you want to set up a one-on-one demo or go in more detail about a specific aspect of the software, please email me. We can set up a demo and do a one-on-one session, and you're going to go in more detail based on your needs of how you want to use the software. Just a couple little key points of the Deepblocks. I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you our website. And here we have here's our homepage where you can find quite a bit of information about Deepblocks. We have a nice couple tabs here. We have cities, which will show you the breakdown of all the cities that we are currently in. We are serving 45 markets at the moment with zoning data, over 1,000 cities with parcel level data. The cities with the red tags represent all the cities we have with zoning, and the blue represent all the cities with parcel level data. And we're actually getting ready to scale out another 50 plus cities with zoning data as we continue to build out and reach more and more markets throughout the country with zoning data. Again, just going to give a couple more minutes before we start as we wait for some more people to jump on. Again, I do appreciate everyone joining us today for today's webinar session, which again, we're going to go through scanning for land in Los Angeles, California. I'll show you some key features and functionalities, how we can find vacant land and find these development opportunities for land development. And then we'll model out a particular development play on a site selection. And again, as I mentioned, if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to use the chat to reach out to me with a question. Again, if there's something you want to review or go over, simply just ask and I'll stop and we'll go back and look at it. If there's a certain functionality you want me to highlight that I did not mention yet, again, feel free to ask me over the chat. So here on the website as well, again, here's the cities tab shows our breakdown of cities that we're currently in. And again, as I mentioned, we're adding another 50 cities to this list right here. So we'll be in almost over 100 cities with zoning data. We also have a tutorial section, which is a great place to watch 60-second clips and understand key components of the website and functionalities that are real helpful tutorials to really help you navigate the software. We also show our pricing, which is right now at $18,000 a year. For the annual, we'll be probably at $36,000 by the end of the year. So it's a good time now to get in. You'll be grandfathered in at the lower price. If you're getting in before our prices go up, you'll again be grandfathered into that $18,000 number, even as we increase our prices throughout the coming months, coming years. And we have a really aggressive roadmap in the upcoming year and the years to follow as we continue to build out more and more functionality, scale out to more and more markets, add more map layers, market data. So it's a very exciting time to be a part of Deepblocks and not only enjoy tremendous value we have at the moment, but to see our continuous growth and ability to reach all different areas of the country and eventually globally. And like I mentioned, we're doing a tremendous job converging various data sets from zoning data, parcel level data, market data into one interface and really streamlining this process for development from months to literally minutes. We do have a question. When do you think this webinar and the past webinar will be uploaded to the website? Is that under the blog? So great question. If you notice, actually on my screen, we have a webinars link. They're usually uploaded on Monday. However, if you provide me your email, I upload them to a certain section of our server after the webinar, and I can email you a shared version if need be. Otherwise, we do upload them on Monday, and it will be posted again, underneath this webinars tab on our main site, which I'll post a link right here. And we also post them on LinkedIn as well. So here's the I'm gonna put it in the chat. All right, so yeah, like I mentioned, we usually do upload them on Mondays. And again, if you send me your email address, I could email you a copy of the link later on today, so you have access to the webinar. So here's the link for the webinar in the chat session as well. All right, so let's get started. As I mentioned, here's our main site. And again, we have various tabs to help you through our process and understand the different functionalities that Deepblocks brings to you. Again, we have a list of all the cities. We have tutorials to show you how the software works. And again, we go into our pricing. And always keep in mind, anytime you ever want a one-on-one demo, feel free to reach out to me, Michael@deepblocks.com, and we get set up a one-on-one demo. But with that being said, let's get started on our topic for today, scanning for land in Los Angeles. So I'm going to jump into my dashboard. We're going to go to that search engine, and we're going to be looking at Silver Lake in Los Angeles, which is a section of LA. And we're going to show you how you can quickly identify vacant parcels of land using our search engine and refining the criteria. But before I get into that, the specifics and details of how our market scanner works, just like to give you a quick little background on the software. Again, there's basically two interfaces. The front end interface, which we're looking at right now, is our market scanner or search engine. This allows you to scan through various and numerous parcels, thousands and thousands of parcels, and quickly refine your search in a matter of minutes and find a handful of parcels that meet your criteria and cater to your investment goals and development goals. In addition to using the market scanner, we have various map layers which provide, again, we show opportunity zones, allowable units, we show demographic information, the people tab, residential rates, hotel rates, office rates, go into some retail information and industrial information. Again, the map layers are very key and helpful to the process because it, again, it allows you to understand the marketplace you are studying based on your search and your location. We have our tool set up here. We have a satellite layer. You can always turn on to search and view via basically Google Earth that gets applied to the screen. This selects one parcel at a time, and here's our assemblage tool, which selects multiple parcels at a time. So that being said, one of the things I like to advise users, we always recommend our users use Google Chrome, and we like to ask our users based on their screen size, but I like to always zoom down to 80%. So it allows me to capture more of my viewport and really encapsulate as many parcels as possible so we can really get that macro level view of our particular market that we're searching. And another key feature too is we like to zoom out as well. You can zoom out as far as possible until these blue lines, which represent the parcels, if you zoom out and the blue lines disappear, that means you zoomed out a little too far, and just simply zoom in a little bit until you see the blue outlines of each parcel. But again, you can zoom out to a point, and the whole purpose of that is really to, again, try to see and capture as many parcels within your viewport on your screen to really understand from a macro level and advance your search. It just allows you to scan through thousands of parcels, and really, as you hone in and refine that search based on these criteria here, we can really reduce our parcels match very quickly. So one of the key things we're going to do, as I mentioned, we're searching for vacant land. We're going to go down and we are going to look for, just to give you an idea of how many parcels are in this particular viewport right now, we're looking at roughly 8,700 parcels roughly in this viewport. But the first thing I'd like to show you is that in order to look for vacant land using our tool, we have what's called an existing building area slider. And all you simply would do is, since we're not looking for an actual existing building and we're looking for vacant land, we're going to just put zeros in both of these entries. And now what will happen, we just went from 8,700 parcels down to 437 parcels within my viewport that are highlighted in this teal color that represent vacant land. And Always remember you can move your screen north, south, east, or west, and just to show you, and the screen will automatically update and show you the latest results in that next section. So I'm going to pull my screen down, go kind of north of it, up this Silver Lake Reservoir, and you'll see the screen's going to gather the parcel data and recalculate and show you how many parcels are now matching based on my criteria, which simply is vacant land at the moment. So we just went from 437 in the viewport when I was showing you a little more south of this Silver Lake area. I moved a little more north. Now we're showing 412 parcels match. And we have a great function where you can export it's a CSV file, all these parcels that are matching based on my current search, and it'll basically provide all the legal addresses for those parcels and about 15 other columns of data tied to those parcels. A very helpful tool to, again, allow you to use as a cross-reference point and begin your search process. But we want to take it another step further and use, again, we have a very powerful search engine right here, and there's a tremendous amount of functionality and capability to reduce these parcels to literally try to cater exactly to what you're trying to develop based on your criteria. And so right now we're just looking at vacant land, but we're going to try looking for specific use allowed. So we can enter in, for instance, apartment homes and apartment houses. Now what happens, we just drop down to 56 parcels matching. So now we have vacant land that is zoned for apartment houses. We have 56 parcels matching. And you'll see them kind of scattered. I'm going to minimize some of these screens so you can see them. There's a couple up here, a few over there, just scattered throughout this viewport. And again, there's a quick way of identifying the amount of parcels matching for apartment houses in this particular area. Let's move a little more south just to see the results we get. And let's see what the software updates with. So as it gathers that parcel data, it will now compute and tell us, all right, now we have 114 parcels, a little more south of this Silver Lake Reservoir. In this area, we have 114 parcels matching that are vacant land and zoned for apartment houses. So, and just to give you another example, say we're searching for vacant land that is zoned for office. We can simply just put that type office in, we select office as use allowed. So now we have 7 parcels matching that are vacant land and zoned for office. Here's a couple right here. Got one over here on the right side. Let's see, there's probably a couple hiding over here behind this mat, behind our box there. Yeah, there's a couple more. So again, just relatively quickly, we went from, again, over 8,000 parcels in this particular area. And just by entering a certain type of criteria from vacant land to use allowed, we narrow it down to just a handful to get that search and to get your process really going. Just to give you another example, let's try use allowed vacant land and maybe homeless shelters. That's a good example, just something we're seeing right now in California, a little bit of an issue with homeless population. So homeless shelters are obviously being built a little more to help the homeless population. And right here we see 39 parcels matching that are zoned again for homeless shelters, and there's vacant land. So just another quick way of identifying a certain uses allowed and that is zoned on this particular vacant land. We also can try manufacturing. So here we select limited manufacturing, and we have 2 parcels matching that are actually right here off to the right side. You can see that are zoned for manufacturing and is, again, vacant land. And another one we could try to see if there's single family homes that are zoned, or one family dwellings as it's listed in the use allowed in this particular part of California. There we go, one family dwellings. And we have 236 parcels matching, again, where we have vacant land and it's zoned for building a one family dwelling. So you'll see them just scattered out in teal. So basically, as you go through this search process, and again, you can continue to reduce your search parcels that are matching. We could add in units allowed and see what we get for, if we're looking for, say, 0 to 30 units allowed. And now it just drops a little more. A good way of actually really representing this. Let's say we're looking at apartment houses, and we were looking for, say, tend to, let's say we're going a little higher. Let's say we're looking for 50 to 100 units allowed. We can quickly identify, there's actually just one parcel located right here, which you just keep that in mind, which might be a great play if it's vacant land, it's zoned for apartment houses, and it's the units allowed is 50 to 100. So let's kind of go to the next step as we, again, do use the market scanner to find these different types of development plays and opportunities on vacant land. And we kind of, again, reduce our search down to just one parcel. This might be a great opportunity here. So what we like to do next is kind of turn on these map layers and look at the different demographic trends. So we're going to stay zoomed out here for the moment. And I'm going to turn on, let's see if it's an opportunity zone. It is not. This is the opportunity zone over here. We actually represent opportunity zones throughout the country. So this is not an opportunity zone. However, it still could be a good play. We can look at the density of the area. We can see it's, and again, just keep in mind our map layers that are shown here are explained in the map legend. We show how the data is sourced as well as how this data is represented. So as you can tell, this pale yellow is really a low density area up to medium density. That's why this particular property came up in my search criteria, as I was looking for 50 to 100 units allowed. Let's see what else we have. Another great tab here is the people tab. So this is demographic data. We use 2010 and 2018 census data. We're updating to 2020 very shortly. They finally just released the census data in its entirety. So we will now be able to update RN and have data from 2010 to 2020 shortly. But just to show you an example, and we demonstrate this information in two different ways, but I'll show you the heat maps first. So I'm gonna look at median income. And again, we're gonna get that macro level. So I'm at that real bird's eye view. I'm zoomed out. And let's see, okay, so it's actually a relatively higher median income at 89,000. So this might be a good multifamily play for a little bit higher income population. We could look at, let's see, the median rent is in that area. All right, so we're looking at 1538 as the heat map loads. I believe, yes, it's 15, yes. It's 1538 is the median rent in this particular census tract. That's a solid average rent. We can look at employment as well, 69.3%. So it's a strong employment population for the population. So again, another good metric that would kind of help us say, all right, maybe this is looking to be a good place. So again, we just used our market scanner to look at various vacant lands for various uses allowed, and then we kind of say, all right, I'm kind of looking for a multifamily play. I went back to that apartment houses, uses allowed, and now saw this one particular parcel. We turn on these map layers and start analyzing this particular market and segment of Los Angeles and Silver Lake. So we're going to kind of hone in and zoom in and get more of a micro level view of this particular parcel. So with that said, I'm going to zoom in on this parcel. Give me a sec as our screen continues to load. I'm just looking for that parcel. It was right off Route 2. I think it's right here. All right, so the screen loads. Here it is. Right, it's a nice corner lot, relatively large lot. So one of the next things we like to do is now as we get into a more micro level and zoom in on this particular parcel, we can kind of look at the demographic trends. The way the trends work here, again, this is work off that census data. As I mentioned, we will be updated through 2020 shortly, but you just basically put your mouse over these colored squares and you'll see this is part of that Royal, the 1955 census tract. I'm going to turn off these two. Now we can focus in on these trends, and now you'll see it's a tremendous growth of population. So it's a nice little trend to see. So a good indicator. We can look at employment per population. We can compare versus the United States trend line. Again, it's on the up and up versus the US trend line right here. We can look at median gross rent. Turn these off, and we'll look at our census tract, which is 1955. Once again, another nice incline versus the US. median gross rent rate. And lastly, we can look at that median household income trend. Again, really strong incline in the median household income. So all four are very good indicators that this could be a really good opportunity to build out this multifamily play on this particular vacant parcel. And just to show you a few other map layers quickly, we also show residential rates. This is basically an aggregate of listing data we pull in, and then we apply our machine learning to these rates to bring a really strong baseline in dollar per square foot. Again, we validate our information routinely, and we want to bring you as relatively accurate information as we can to really help your process. Another good tab to look at is the retail tab. And just the retail tab is beneficial because you can kind of look at traffic count to see traffic flow in an area. And again, if you go to the map legend, it'll show you how this traffic count is represented. This is from the Federal Transportation Board, so we kind of see, decent amount of traffic off that major of Route 2. After that, it's relatively not as bad. So maybe it's a good opportunity for a multifamily and retail play as a mixed use. So we can actually look at that financial analysis when I do the preliminary underwriting, which is next. And we could also look at the local business in the area. So definitely an opportunity for some more local businesses, as there's not much in this area at the moment, just a few based on these orange dots. So again, another good opportunity to bring in some retail into this multifamily play as well. So we're going to select this site and take it to the next step. It seems like a pretty good opportunity. So as you select, you'll see the property info will appear right here. We get some demographic information, address, which shows again vacant land. And then we go right into the key zoning limit and zoning information that we extract. And this is very helpful for this preliminary underwriting and your modeling, so we can kind of quickly analyze and evaluate various scenarios on this particular parcel and different types of development, which we're going to go into next. You'll see the parking by use, general uses allowed. And then lastly, we have the setbacks for this particular parcel. So the next step is, again, to hit this preliminary underwriting. And we're going to do multifamily. And again, I'm going to throw some retail in there. And we're going to hit continue. So now what happens after we found that parcel, we're going to be doing our 3D modeling right now. The computer's generating this 3D model and massing. And I will show you how you can, again, in a matter of minutes, evaluate various scenarios and financial models based on this particular site that we located in Los Angeles. And a great attribute to our software is the flexibility. You can see here you can share the project with other users of the software, so they can actually adjust this particular development play and run their own scenarios, and then you guys can compare notes because we have an export report feature that exports to a 4-page PDF file. So whatever user is working on this particular project, they can export it out. And again, another user, if they get a project shared with them, they can export their version out and you can compare notes. You can copy this particular project and then run, again, several iterations of a particular play to see what makes the most sense. Maybe multifamily with office makes more sense than multifamily retail. Maybe just multifamily makes more sense. And the whole concept is to make adjustments based on the assumptions here, and your KPIs will automatically update. It's a 1-year back of the envelope return on cost. That's how we formulate the financial analysis. And again, it's a very helpful way, a high-level litmus test is saying, again, going from A to Z, from locating certain sites that present opportunities and then running different models and scenarios to see what makes the most sense for you to proceed with this particular site. And you might go through the site analysis and say, maybe this is not the right play after you kind of try a few different scenarios. But you also might realize this makes the most sense. And again, then you take it to the next step and you present it to your partners and your different investors, and you'll go from there. It's just to show you quickly how you can start defining the building. As I mentioned in the previous interface, we have that property info, which gets carried through to this backend interface. You'll see here, we identify the setbacks. So we actually have a setback mode where we can go in and enter the setbacks if there are certain guidelines on the zoning. So you can uniquely identify each side. Leave these as B. I'll make that D. I can make this C. And then we exit that setback mode, then we can kind of adjust this setback and we'll reduce that lot coverage a little bit. So I'm going to adjust that primary setback by 10 feet. You'll see that model is going to change. I'm going to leave B alone. We're going to adjust C a little bit by 15 feet. And we're going to adjust D by 10 feet. And you'll see the model, as you make these adjustments, the model automatically updates and changes in real time. And after you adjust the setbacks and define the building, again, you can always adjust setbacks by particular floors if you want. But the next step is to go into the assumptions and start adjusting in and understanding what makes the most sense, again, to improve this return on cost. So we might feel that we could do a little bit better with maybe 10 2-bedrooms and 10 3-bedrooms. And the ROC goes up a little bit there. We can adjust the gross buildable. We can make these a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, however we see fit. We can adjust the amenities. We can also adjust the rent. So we might feel that 2,800 is a little on the lower end for this area, so maybe we can get 2,900 instead. And the ROC increases. We get 3,600 for the 3-bedrooms, and again, that ROC continues to increase. You can adjust your vacancy and your OpEx. Then you can go into your retail layer and adjust the net leasable. Say we want to do 5,000 square feet. You'll see, and actually I'm going to go up to 6,000. You'll notice the orange layer will just continue to expand as we increase that gross buildable. Maybe for lease income. Now, please understand we actually are bringing in sub-market values for these different income inputs that I adjusted for the multifamily and now adjusting for the retail. However, we leave it adjustable for you to make changes or make it flexible for you, because you might feel based on your project and what you're building and what you're offering that you could do a little bit better than what the pre-populated value is. So we could probably get $35 per square foot here, and we will change that now. You're up to 4.99, and the vacancies we'll leave at 6, OpEx at $12 per square foot, and then you can go into the cost side and adjust these costs. Maybe we can get this property for $3.2 million. And again, they're over a 5% return on cost. Vacant land, so maybe we don't need that. We won't have demolition cost. We are soft costs. We'll bring that down to 12%. Contingencies will leave at 6%, and then we go into our hard costs. Again, these are sub-market values that we apply our machine learning and are bringing in values that are applicable to this particular area. They do change based on the area you are doing the modeling in. But again, if you feel 221 is on the higher side, you can get away with 200. We allow you to adjust it, change it to 150. And again, so now we're up to a 5.73 return on cost. Another thing you could always do is you want to add some parking. We can go back to our property info and understand the parking by use. We explain how it's zoned by. So residential is 1 space. And retail is 1 space as well. And again, the parking in that gray is automatically inserted into the model. So again, just a very quick way of creating a model and looking at the financial analysis. Anything that you input is automatically calculated here in the back of the envelope. Breakdown, here's all your assumptions. It breaks down in detail, your property info, that building info, building footprint, open space, that pale green area around. We have building height. We go into different, here's the unit breakdown, the economics, and then the project cost. And as I mentioned, you can now export this report out. You can title the report, put the property address, enter who it's from, who it's going to, write your own little summary. You can upload a cover image for this particular property and upload your logo and change the color palette for the report. Here's the quick version of here's a stock report just to show you the report that gets generated. And again, it's a very helpful 4-page PDF file that a lot of our users share with their colleagues. their investors, various partners, so they can see again the iterations and scenarios that they're evaluating for a particular site they selected. So just going through the report quickly, again, you can upload an image to replace this right here. Your logo will replace Deepblocks logo. Your summary goes here. Paired by is you'll have who it's from goes in this area, then who it's going to will go in this section. The second page will show that property info, zoning summary, and a stacking plan. A little map of where the particular property you'll see it's part of Los Angeles. We then show those 4 key demographic trends I was going through earlier, and we can see these significant inclines that we saw in that front end interface in the market scanner. So again, nice, good signs and nice information to present to colleagues. And lastly, here's that financial analysis, that 1 year back of the envelope return on cost broken down. So you can then download this report and or print it out and send it to again, people you are collaborating with for this particular project. So that just to kind of show you the flexibility again of the software. If you want to again look at a different scenario iteration, you can simply copy this project. I'll just leave it as copy for the moment. And it's going to now create a second version, and we can now update this particular project. So the one we just went through is now saved, and it'll be part of your dashboard. But now I'm going to go through I can go through a second iteration. I won't go through the entire process, but again, I will show you if I want to just add some office in. By just simply clicking office, now the office layer gets added. We can go to assumptions, and I can now go to the office tab, and I can adjust this to say I want to do 6,500 square feet of office. And you'll see the office in that purplish blue just expands a bit. And now we just work on these assumptions for the office to see if again we can improve our ROC. So maybe we'll get $30 a square foot. So that's the premise of Deepblocks. And again, we're just really streamlining this process from the front end to the back end, evaluating again. Using the market scanner for site selection, going through thousands and thousands of parcels and really refining that search down to a handful, locating that site that you feel it makes the most sense for your development opportunity. And then we take it to that second interface, which is this particular module, and we're looking at the modeling and the financial analysis and breakdown, and using this to, again, look at different scenarios and really figure out, should we proceed with this particular site? Should we develop on it? And if we're going to proceed with it, this makes the most sense. We're going to do multifamily with some retail, or multifamily with some retail and office. And again, you will export these reports out as a proof of showing that this particular site makes tremendous sense to proceed with the project. Or again, maybe it does not. It just depends on the scenario you're looking at, the return you're looking for. But the concept is that we're bringing this process and reducing the amount of time it takes to go through these various steps, which everyone knows in the commercial real estate world is very painful and a manual process. There's different softwares out there, there's different types of data sets, and it's all disparate, and you have to really pull it all together. However, with Deepblocks, you're able to converge all those data points and functionalities into one interface. And again, we have tremendous growth ahead of us. We have tremendous value in place and a lot of upside. So it's a great time to be a part of Deepblocks and get on board. And again, as I mentioned, if you want to go through this in more detail or evaluate scenarios for your particular business or industry, feel free to email me at michael@deepblocks.com, and we can set up a one-on-one demo. But again, I do appreciate your time and coming out today and working through this project in Los Angeles. So I hope everyone has a great afternoon, and hope to see you next week. Have a good day. Take care.